All right, here we are. Let's see. Okay, we are live, Kelci. Hello. How are you?
Sweet. I am doing tremendously today, actually. How are you doing?
It's Catter Day, so I have my Catter Day tea. This says, I don't know if you can read it. It says, "You have me at meow."
Oh, that's cute.
It's got the little cat ears.
Yep.
My cat. Go ahead.
I was about to say, maybe the fact that it's Catcher Day is why both of my girls have been like extra needy today. I was mentioning this before the stream went live that Scarlett has been like all over me since this morning. Oh, and
Scarlett.
here she comes.
We,
Yes,
we have
Miss Scarlett.
we have our first comment here, Jessica. Hi,
Hi,
Jessica. How are
Jessica.
you?
Oh,
Thank you for joining us. Happy Catter Day. I was just showing Kelci my mug, which says, "You have me at meow."
oh, and here comes Scarlett. Here she is.
Hey, Scarlett's a
It's
cutie.
like you talk about her. Oh yeah. She's been like extra needy today. Like she woke me up this morning and like sat next to my head and started purring. She was all over me at a Zoom meeting earlier today. It's just been, yeah.
That's awesome. She's so cute.
Oh, she's so pretty and she knows it. She knows she's a pretty kitty.
Do you
She's
think that?
also,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I was about to say that she's also like 13 years old.
Wow. No, she's got like loads of energy.
She does amazingly. Like you should see her chase after a laser pointer. She still acts like a kitten.
Oh, have you seen pictures of Polly? It looks like Polly and Scarlett could be like twins.
I know. I've been seeing your pictures on Instagram and I'm like, that's Scarlett 2.0 right there.
It's pretty wild.
Same color eyes and everything because Scarlett's eyes are also yellow.
Yeah, but I guess
Not
Polly. The difference with her is I don't know is Scarlett polydactyl because Polly's got like the polydactyl paws. Like
with the
like the
extra
extra,
toes.
yeah, so her feet are like massive.
Oh, is that why she's named Polly?
That's yep, polydactyl.
Okay. Nah, Scarlett doesn't have that. But she's a little we're concerned that she might be a wee bit on the mentally handicapped side because she doesn't in a lot of ways she doesn't act like a typical cat would.
But that's okay. It's
Yeah,
like
it's okay. She knows she's pretty and
it's
she's well loved.
being typical. That's not all that.
No, no. And she's loved, she's appreciated for who she is, as special needsy as she is sometimes. But still. Oh, you should
Looks
hear the
like
purrs. But she's been purring real soft lately.
oh, she's pretty. She is pretty. And she does know it. She's like, look at me, here I
Oh
am.
yeah. Oh yeah, she knows it. She's been like spoiled rotten ever since she was a kitten. Part of the reason that she's even named Scarlet is because the lady who found her when she was a kitten named her Miss Scarlet because
Okay.
even as a kitten she was so pretty.
Aw.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool name.
At some point, probably Bree will also hop into the stream, but we'll see.
Okay, great.
She's not around yet.
Yeah, we're just getting warmed up here. We have a couple people watching, including Jessica, who says, "Kitty."
Yep. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for joining us over on CB's channel because usually Jessica's over on mine, leaving comments on stuff. So I'm happy to see you here.
Thanks for stopping by, Jessica. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're flip-flopping our live stream, so the next time we do it, we'll be on Kelci's channel. So
yes.
I just launched mine a few weeks ago, and yes, I do go into some controversial topics about comic books and stuff like that, but it's mostly business stuff. So I try not to get into like the ideological politics that's tearing the industry apart right now. I'd much rather talk about the business of how to make comics. And I just posted a video about Instagram, comics on Instagram. So
really, I haven't seen that one yet. I've seen a couple of your videos about the new thing that's going on in comics right now called the Big Pause.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny story. I was telling some folks at the startup that I'm working with. I was telling them about what's been happening in the comics industry, and they were like, "Wow, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, Diamond is like shutting down for the foreseeable future, and a whole bunch of artists are, at least a whole bunch of artists in the mainstream industry are like freaking the fuck out right now because they're like, how am I going to pay my bills? What?"
They are freaking out.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to them, but people, artists like us, writers, creators like us, we've been on our own little pirate ships for so long. It's like we just keep going. Like, wait, what's happening? The industry is falling apart. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Honestly, to me, the more relevant conversations are the ones that are happening at Patreon right now. I've been watching a couple of their live streams. Like I was there when they did the weird streamathon last week. That was part update on what the platform's doing because of what's been happening lately, and also part fundraiser because a lot of the folks on Patreon are and still are musicians and artists who go to comic conventions and things like that. And a lot of artists have been freaking out because convention season has effectively been canceled for the next like 4 months or so. And sorry, I was distracted by the screen suddenly changing.
They're just showing your Patreon page.
Yeah.
So.
Because I do have a Patreon page. I'm going to be revamping a couple of things. Like the banner, I'm going to be changing the banner pretty soon. But I'm thinking about, yes.
Well, no, I was going to ask you about the banner. Do you feel that like mixing the banner up every month is a good idea? I think.
Could you ask that again? You broke up really bad. I don't know if it was my internet or what it was.
Well, I heard that so many people are on the internet right now that we're going to break up every once in a while. So can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that's going to happen occasionally.
Okay.
Because I read that we got a notice here about our internet that during certain times of the day, like there's so many people online because of what's happening.
Peak hours, yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, my question was, you were talking about your banner.
Yeah.
Are you changing it up just to keep it fresh? Like what's your take on the banner? Because I'm interested, because I'm thinking about changing mine up a little bit too. So
yeah, I wanna change it up to be fresher. I also want to change it up so that it's not so choppy, because it's very obviously right now like 4 separate images being collaged into one thing, and I want it to be a more cohesive whole with the next iteration.
Well,
so
thinking
of ideas of how I would want to do that.
Speaking of that, mine is actually kind of similar. That's
yep. Great minds.
Right?
Yep.
So what do you suggest we do is what I'm asking.
Oh, for you, I'm not entirely sure. Because I know that you are a writer first and foremost, not necessarily an illustrator. What I was thinking about doing for mine was either a long like horizon shot of like a location in the Legend of Jamie Roberts.
Oh, cool.
And having it be like one solid thing, like a preview. Or I was thinking about drawing up something new to have like all of my major characters from my comics together in like a group shot.
Oh, that could look really cool.
That would look really cool. It would also be somewhat time consuming, but it could be something that I work on as I work on it, posting it as like behind the scenes content for my Patreon patrons, and possibly doing like a little patron exclusive live stream just for them as I work on it. Possibly. I'm just spitballing here. This just came to me. But
cool idea.
Yeah. Because the thing that was talked about in the Patreon live streams that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, like the president, Jack Conte, and a few other people behind the scenes at Patreon have been doing these live streams talking about where the platform is going and what's been happening because of what's been happening. And a thing that they did talk about was, oh God, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this?
Patreon president.
Right. We were talking about banners. The things that the data analysts have found pertaining to Patreon as a platform, which is that relatively, Patreon has been surprisingly consistent through the crisis. Like, not a lot of people have had to cancel their pledges. I mean, there are some people that have had to cancel because they've lost their jobs.
Sure.
And that makes sense. But there are also other people who have like increased their pledges because they're like, hey, I really appreciate what you've been doing through this time, and I want to support you through this. Well, but they were also talking about, yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say one of the other things they talked about in some of these live streams too was how to refresh your page a little bit to possibly get more patrons. And they were talking about revamping your tiers and changing up the imaging that you have on your page.
Good idea.
Yeah, not just changing the headers, but also like revamping the tiers that you offer, which is why I'm toying with the idea of having a Discord server as a potential Patreon reward. And I'm toying with that idea because my D&D group and I moved to Discord because we can't meet at the comic shop anymore. And from the looks of it, it looks really easy to set up a Discord server. Like, I thought it would be hard, but it's the equivalent of setting up a private chat room. So
that's pretty much it. Yeah, I've
pretty much it.
Yeah, I got into it with my brother. My brother does live streaming on Twitch, and he has a Discord. So I've done some research into that. And
yeah, it's really easy to sync up Twitch and Discord.
And I think too that Patreon has, you can add that as a reward. So if people sign up, they get like access to the Discord, and it's actually linked with Patreon too. So
it is. You can sync up too.
Look at this. So Jessica says that this is exciting. I've missed validation. Allie is a hero of mine. Well, that's cool. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Just return Monday, right? But it's actually returned now.
Surprise!
It's back a couple days early. So here we have Barb, and she's going in to get her Bruce Campbell autograph. She's letting her inner geek out finally. Remember Barb in the way back in the day, she was kind of like, oh, you and your silly comic book stuff. But now she's realized that, hey, you know, I can let my inner geek out too. Why not? So she's like, is Bruce Campbell going to be there? And so she's showing up. It makes me sad though that we're posting these new comics and it's all about LodoCon, which is the convention that Fakir is the head organizer of, who runs the comic book shop in our universe. And who knows when we'll see a comic book show again, you know? I mean, it could be months and months for that.
At the same time, though, I think readers would want a distraction and they would want a reminder of like what a social life would look like, at least for geeks and nerds. Yeah. So at this point, with regards to, well, what can artists do at this point? The best that we can do is A, the best we can do. B, provide some entertainment for folks to maybe not so much keep their mind off of what's going on, but to you know, and still a little bit of hope that there's something worth striving towards, that you don't have to panic, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. While he's here, I saw Tony D comment. Let's see what he says here. Yeah, D&D.
Yep. Oh my gosh. D&D
So,
is the new hotness now.
well, my brother is does video conferencing. There's like a live streaming way to play D&D, and he's doing
There
that with
is.
his friends. Yeah, I don't know what that's
That's
called,
awesome.
but I'll have to ask him. But speaking of Tony and Instagram comics, we're going to show this really quick here.
Oh yes, because validation is on Instagram now.
It is, and also so is the Webcomic Factory.
Oh, nice.
So we got this here. We're starting off with our book, Post-Apocalyptic Nick, which is a webcomic that we did with Tony DiGirolamo and I did with Tom Krasansky, who's this amazing artist who actually ended up being the creative director at Loot Crate.
So, oh, nice. Back when Loot Crate was a thing, may it rest in peace.
Yeah, not quite sure what his situation is now, but the book is pretty sweet. We've got Nick is this guy who is kind of like out of touch with a lot of things and over reliant on his phone. So when the apocalypse happens, he can't get his iPhone to work. So of course, the apocalypse, you're not going to have access to your apps. So what's a guy like that going to do? But beyond that, let's see what we got here. I'm going to share the validation Instagram really quick. And we can look at that. Here we go.
So many purrs happening right now with this cat.
Scarlett's loving it.
Oh, she does. She just loves the love.
But
oh,
we're speaking of conventions. Here's Zeta.
Zeta Wondergal, which got to give a shout out to some of the readers, including Pat, who's one of our, I believe, our mutual patrons. She cool. supports us both on Patreon. But when this was first posted online many years ago, she commented with, well, if she's looking in a mirror, shouldn't it be reversed? So I'm going to need to fix that once it gets to print.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, I mean, we're definitely going to do a big collected edition one day for sure.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
But I for those who are watching, I know that we've talked about possibly doing a new intro. And
talking about a new what?
Hold on, Tony's got a comment about it. I think this is about Instagram. Looks professional. That's right, because we are professionals.
We've been doing this shit for years.
Oh, I think we started.
I just swore on your podcast.
Oh, God bless it. Damn it. Shit and fuck. There we go.
Yeah. You might as well just say the 7 dirty words that you're not supposed to say on television. Get it out of your system and get it over with.
Oh, man, just start screaming it to the winds.
Yeah. Well, the wind is blowing really hard outside of my window right now, so I could.
So, yeah, we started this, back in 2013. Oh, my gosh.
2013, yep. I remember.
Was it on DeviantArt where I found you, or Tumblr?
I think it was Tumblr. I remember it was Tumblr. I had a DeviantArt account at the time, and it was that I linked you to.
Yes, that's right. And I saw some of your work. So that was a great way to connect. I'm not sure, is Tumblr still viable for artists?
In a way it is. The thing about Tumblr is that really it's a website for fans. And if you approach it with that, A, makes a lot more sense. B, once you tap into your particular like fandom of choice, things will click into place.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. And you can be a part of multiple fandoms. Like there's artists who are like part of like Kingdom Hearts. Just thinking about one artist in particular, she's a part of Kingdom Hearts. What's that one on Nintendo? It's not Legend of Zelda. It's Fire Emblem. That one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So Kingdom Hearts, Fire Emblem, a couple of Final Fantasy fandoms, because each number has its own particular fandom. But there's one artist who's got her fingers in all of that. Oh, I see Tony's comment. Tumblr seems like nothing. It's like shouting into the wind. That's Twitter. That's Twitter. Tumblr, I've actually had posts get mini viral on there. But again, you have to tap into the fan base. The other thing, too, is puns. People on Tumblr love puns. And there's a lot of them that are in denial that they love puns.
Puns. Well, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I haven't been on my Tumblr. Tony says it's like Twitter with longer posts.
But that's kind of what makes Tumblr better than Twitter, is that you can elaborate on your thoughts.
And modify posts when you reblog something, you can add your own thoughts on there. And
yes.
Yep. But it's been hit or miss for Tumblr. I've actually taken a break from it for a while now. I might get back on there at some point. Mm-hmm. I know that when it first started off, do you remember you were able to place an ad for $5 and it would go to the top of the Tumblr feed?
No, I don't remember this, but I believe you that this was a thing that existed with Tumblr.
Right. I think it was before they got bought by Yahoo. So when they were there,
and oh boy, is that working out well for them? It's not. Right. It's not working out well for them. Like, to be fair though.
True.
Yeah, to be fair though, nobody can make money off of Tumblr.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they made like $10 off of me. I used that to promote.
Yeah.
And they made $10. I mean, where did they do with that $10? Where did it go? They wasn't good enough, I guess.
It went. I guess it went into the bot that tried to flag not safe for work posts, and the bot did not work.
Oh, the bot has to be feeling miserably. There's just so much of that on there. So
there's so much, but also like there was one post that I had posted one of my illustrations up on Tumblr, and it flagged it as not safe for work, but there was no nude, there was no like sexual things going on in it at all. There wasn't any blood or gore or anything. Like it was, in fact, if you want to click on the thing that says Kelci screen, I can bring it up on Studio Paint really fast. Because I can show it off this way.
Sweet.
Yeah. This lady.
That got flagged?
This got flagged as not safe for work.
That's really strange.
Bots are inefficient.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I still don't get the logic behind it, but okay.
For those just joining, it's Catter Day, and I've been proud to display my mug that you've had me at meow.
Yes.
So
and Scarlett has been showcased twice already, and she'll probably pop again a third time later.
I don't know what I would do. That's Silly and Ernie. Those are the two cats. I'll try to bring up pictures of them from my own Instagram here. I have a photo Instagram account, but I will look for them while we're talking.
Welcome to our live stream. We're just showcasing our cats.
Well, definitely. We're also celebrating validation, which has returned for a new season. Tony says, "Cool illustration."
Thank you, Tony.
I agree.
Yes, she is. Her title is the Chaos Goddess. For the longest time, and still to a degree, this is still true, I have been drawing gods and spirits in my sketchbook for the better part of like 2 or 3 years now. It's just been a running theme. I even made gods and spirits a sketchbook because I've drawn so many of them.
Didn't you do well with the gods and spirits, if I'm not mistaken?
Funny story with that one. The first time that I launched it on Kickstarter, the Kickstarter failed. So I tweaked it and then I relaunched it and it made its goal. So it did get into print. Really, it failed the first time because A, I got cocky, and B, I forgot my own lessons with regards to how to make Kickstarter work. Because the best way to make Kickstarter work is to ask for like the minimum viable amount that you need to make a project happen, and then have everything else be stretch goals. So part of the reason that Gods and Spirits of Sketchbook failed the first time was because I had lumped in a reward that should have been a stretch goal, and I tried lumping it into the main chunk of funding that I was asking for. So when I relaunched it, I had that offering be a stretch goal instead of part of the main package.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. The reward, for those who are curious, was stickers, because I wanted to make particular God and spirits designs into stickers. And when I launched the Kickstarter the first time, I tried to like offer the stickers as part of the package.
Okay.
But then when I relaunched it, I had the stickers become stretch goals instead, because I just wanted to get the book to print. If we could just get the book to print, the stickers could come after.
Gotcha. Let's see what we got here. Well, you've actually had quite a bit of success with your
I have.
right?
Like on Kickstarter or just in general?
Just in general with your crowdfunding.
Yeah. Surprisingly, out of the 10 or 11 campaigns that I've launched, all but one have succeeded. And the one that failed, I learned from that, relaunched it, and it succeeded.
Oh, I see the. Oh, what a handsome boy!
There's Ernie, and then there's a pic I took of Polly.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, Polly and Scarlet look so similar.
I'm trying to log into my Instagram. That's why I was looking down, and I have so many different passwords. I should have logged in before we because if you're not logged into Instagram and you try to look at the photos, they force you to log in. Speaking of Instagram, though, and getting back just to show this is one of my favorite early pictures of Roxy and Allie.
Oh my gosh, we're going to be looking at my old art.
I love this one.
I mean, I love it too. It's just, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, I'm glad that I've improved.
Yeah, I mean, like we both improved. Like,
yes,
particularly just getting comfortable with these characters, and I know we're celebrating being back, and we've always talked about when the natural end for validation is, but it just seems to keep going. So I kind of like the idea of seasons that we're doing right now. We took a break, but during that break, we actually did work. I mean, we've got quite a few strips to show people. There's quite a few comics coming up for our readers.
Oh yeah. Like we got this ending of, we got validation, but we also have been in talks about doing an Instagram for some Roxy comics and an Instagram for Mike and Steve.
Yes, definitely. And there's a possibility that we might post some of those comics on the main validation site too. So it really isn't that it's ending. It's just that I kind of feel that we've told as much as we could tell with Ali for the moment.
Yeah.
So
Um,
go ahead.
this is not to say that Allie's story is over. We still have some strips for Allie's story. They will be updating over the coming weeks. Just giving folks a heads up here. We had spent a good chunk of our hiatus building up buffer, to be fair.
Yes, we have. We actually, we've got quite a few strips, and there's a few more in production.
I was actually working on one today.
Oh, cool. I don't know if there's any spoilers in there or not, if we should show it or.
I think I can show off one panel comfortably. I'm going to block off one.
Okay.
Because it's a little spoilery, but I can show off these two. The one on this side is still a work in progress because it's going to be a group shot, but we got this going on here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm trying to angle it right so you can see more of it. There we go.
So that's for readers. That's your process. Is you start with the Bristol. Is it Bristol board you're using or comic?
This is Strathmore Bristol Smooth. And lately I have been inking with these zebra pens. I'll show these off here because I love these. Hi Ben, I see you in the comments.
Hey Ben. Nice to see you here. Thank you for joining us.
Yep, Ben Wright Human. I've been a guest on his stream once or twice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so this is one zebra pen, and this gray one has it's a nice thick brush. So this is good for like bold strokes. And then I have this.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. There's this blue one too that has a finer tip to it. There's one that's like in the middle between these two, but when I ordered these from Art Snacks was out of the one in between the two sizes at the time that I ordered it. They might still have it. They might have it back in stock by now. I don't know.
Where do you pick up your art material? If there's artists that are watching that might want to check it, look for these items.
Yeah. So these in particular, I picked up from Art Snacks, and you can check them out at artsnacks.co. They're primarily known for their art supply subscription box, because they have a subscription box they send out once a month, and it's usually like the size of a pencil box, so that's about yay big. But they include new pens.
Oh,
it's .co.
CO, got it.
.co. That's the tricky bit about Art Snacks, is that it's artsnacks.co.
There we go.
Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. They're actually based in New Hampshire, I think. So for folks, for folks who are looking for a new art supplier, what was that?
Oh no, go ahead. I was talking over you. Tony did ask here, where do you get your art supplies?
Yeah. So a couple of different places. So with my brush pens, I get them from Art Snacks.
Okay.
With the Copic markers, I've not been using them as much as I used to, but the Copic markers and the refill inks, I have gotten them from scrapbookingpal.com.
Scrapbooking
Pal? They have them stateside and half price.
Scrapbooking Pal. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to double check that just to make sure that I got the site name right. Because Copic markers are a really good tool for, hold on. It's Scrapbook Pal. My bad.
Scrapbook Pal. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, Scrapbook Pal.
I will show that for people. Scrapbookpal.com, another site for artists to take a look at.
Yes, they have a lot of scrapbooking supplies, but that includes Copic markers and Copic refills. And like I mentioned a moment ago, the Copic supplies are kept in a warehouse stateside, so they get to you way faster than if you ordered them off of Amazon. Because Amazon, they ship them directly from Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you're like really needing those markers like sooner rather than later, go to Scrapbook Pal.
Got it.
Yeah. Also, Scrapbook Pal has them for half price, and they often have sales going where they're even cheaper than that.
And so, how do you transfer your what you draw on the Strathmore paper to the computer screen? Because you do most of your coloring in the computer, right? Do you use GIMP as your program, or do you use? I'm just asking for our readers.
The program that I use primarily anymore is Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio Paint, not the GIMP. I know Tony D here. He uses a program called GIMP, I think, to do that kind of work. But
yeah,
you use Studio Paint? Okay.
I've used GIMP before. It was one of the first tools that I used because I was too broke for Photoshop, and it works. It's a little janky, but it works. Photoshop is just a hard drive hog. Like when I was working with, when I worked with Photoshop, it took up way too much space. Clip Studio Paint is that nice, like it's got the tools that you need to make comics and nothing else, which was part of the reason that Photoshop is such a hard drive hog, is because it's got so many functions to it and you don't end up using half of them. But Clip Studio Paint is way, way lighter on your hard drive because it's made just for making comics. Oh, I just saw Tony D's comment. GIMP is a shareware version of Photoshop, same thing, but different buttons. Well, GIMP is open source, is the thing. Which, when I was working with a Linux operating system, I used GIMP, which is why I'm somewhat familiar with it. I don't use it much anymore. CSP is the MVP. Yes, it is, because Ben and I both use Clip Studio Paint. I meant to upgrade to EX, but I only use Pro at the moment.
What is BWH Comics? What does Ben do?
Ben Wright Human actually ran his own Kickstarter at the same time that I ran my Kickstarter for The Legend of Jamie Roberts Chapter 2.
Okay.
Yeah, he and I both had campaigns happening at the same time. His ended a week after mine did. But he was on Kickstarter to get the sequel to his graphic novel funded, because he does a graphic novel called Letters of the Devil, and he can tell you more about it either in the comments or on his own streams. But he was getting funding for the sequel to that, which was Letters of the Devil, Legacy of L.
Oh, if Ben wants to type that, I'll definitely highlight that on the screen. I'm going to turn my cam off for a second because I'm waiting for a cord to come at once. So I'm just going to go to audio for a little bit and charge up my battery, but I am still here. So 1 sec, let me just stop this and then I will, but you can keep talking. I'm just going to plug this in.
Cool. Actually, if you'd like, you can click on my screen and I can bring up some of the commissions that I've been working on for the backers who backed The Legend of Jamie Roberts Chapter 2.
Okay, I'm back.
Woohoo! Oh, Tony, thunderstorm in New Jersey. Got to get off the computer for a while. Have a nice stream. Well, thank you for joining us. Be safe. Wash your hands.
Thanks, Tony. Bye. Yep, I imagine the thunderstorm in New Jersey is probably pretty wild. There's a lot of storms going through, right?
Oh yeah. Well, there's a mild windstorm outside of my window earlier this morning. It's calmed down a bit, but still bonkers.
We've I'm holding up here. I was supposed to go back to New Mexico on April 1st, but obviously with everything that's going on, That's not going to happen. So I'm holding up here at my parents' house. So I've been able to turn this room into a little mini studio, which is great. And they've got pretty decent internet too. But I'm being in Florida, it's going to be 94 here today, and that's just not right.
I'm so jealous because like my mom lives down in Florida now too, and anytime that she and I get on the phone, she's like, "Oh, it was a nice like 80 degrees down here," and I'm like, "Fuck you." But that's just me. Yeah, Mom and I have a good relationship in that regard. We can just like say things to each other, and we'll be like, "Fuck you again." My family and I are just so weird.
Your family's. Yeah, I've met some of your family members. I met your sister back in we did that show in Phoenix Comic-Con, didn't we, a long time ago?
We did. You met my older sister, Kristen. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm the dreaded middle sibling in my family. So you met my older sister. You have not met the younger one or my mom yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you were, I think you were living in Phoenix at the time, weren't you?
I was. I lived in Phoenix from like fall of 2013 until spring of 2014.
Do you miss that climate? Do you miss that area?
So much. I miss out west really bad. I want to work to a point where I can like see about moving out there and just living out in the desert because I miss it so much. But for the time being, I'm in Ohio, and we'll see how much longer that lasts.
Well, speaking of that and being able to work remotely from places, part of the theme of this live stream is not only to celebrate the return of Validation, which rocks, but also to talk about how you and I work remotely on projects. Yes. And you also have other people that you do comics with, right? There's like some client work you do and some collaborations you've done. So
yes. Yeah.
Hold on a sec.
Oh, we got a new comment. 30 here, but feels like 18. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Now, is that 30 degrees Celsius? No, I'm guessing that's the Fahrenheit temperature. Oh my gosh.
Either way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, either way, that doesn't sound like fun.
Thank you for joining us, Cross-Eye Music. If anybody has anything they want to share, like their links to their own work, happy to highlight them here on the screen. So yeah, I mean, I love the West too. I mean, I'm here in Florida. I feel very fortunate to be holding up during this whole crazy situation with my family.
Same, yeah.
But I enjoy New Mexico quite a bit, and even though Kelci and I we typically work remotely, we have met up in person. I think the first time we did meet up was at Phoenix Comic-Con, wasn't it? Or was it before?
The first time that we met in person was Phoenix Comic-Con. Yeah.
And then we've met in Ohio a couple of times after that. And you've come to New Mexico twice, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
I have twice, yeah. Once in 2016, the second time in 2018. Yeah.
Both times were awesome. We got a chance to go to, we went to Acoma Pueblo last time. That was interesting.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And
was that 2018? Oh my gosh, it was 2018. For some reason, my brain thought that it was last year. I don't know why.
I know.
I guess my brain wants to forget that 2019 happened.
2019 was a pretty bonky year, but
oh my god, it was. Yeah.
No, we had fun. They had some really cool stuff going on out there at Acoma. We got some good pictures too, some good photography, some good collaboration work. I should do a little post on Patreon. Oh, I did do a post on Patreon to highlight that. I'll have to repost that for people. And
oh, heck yeah.
The thing about Patreon is you do these blog postings and they get pushed down the stream. So do you think it might be interesting to go through those old posts and then highlight them again for people who are just signing on board Patreon? Or do you think you just let them go to the winds?
Depends on the post that you want to highlight, because there is such a thing as evergreen posts. So if you feel like the post is evergreen and you want to share it, then go for it. Because I might re-highlight some of the posts that I had made, because I did a Patreon pledge drive a while back. And part of the pledge drive that I did was I made posts that were usually patron exclusive, and I made those public for about a month to showcase to people, hey, here's an example of some people that, sorry, I was distracted by the chat. But here's an example of what you can see if you become a patron on Patreon. And I did that for about a month, and a lot of those posts, now that I think about it, I could repost those again or share the link to those again to be like, hey, here's an example of a free post. This is an example of what you can see if you back my stuff. This is available for free, but usually this is behind the Patreon wall kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, so I'm gonna go to Patreon and kind of look for your free post here. So
there's a couple. A lot of them have to do with the legend of Jamie Roberts, because at the time it was just beginning to launch, and I wanted to like promote some Jamie Roberts related things. I see a comment from Cross-Eye Music. Patreon is the money evolution of Eevee.
Yeah, let's post that. And then
yeah, I don't keep up with the Pokemon universe very much anymore, but I remember Eevee's evolutions, and yeah, it's fitting.
Here we have Ben says, I'll hold up my family in Virginia, decided the house with my parents was better than alone in an apartment. Same here. I mean, I was going to head back to New Mexico, but I'm like, you know what? Unfortunately, I had some flexibility, but I'm much, it's much better to be holed up with family. I totally agree. This is where we're going to look back at 2020 and like go, what the heck happened? That was really, really, really strange. And
yeah. Well, everybody's talking about being holed up with their families, and I'm in the house with just 2 cats.
That is your family, though. Come on.
But I mean, my older sister's still out in Arizona. My little sister's driving truck.
Oh, your older sister drives a truck?
Yeah, my little sister drives truck cross country.
For deliveries and stuff?
Yeah, she was talking about how the other day she was running a shipment of bottled water, and not toilet paper, but something else. But it was like a shipment of bottled water and like 1 or 2 other bathroom items.
Oh,
and she was like, I just have a truck full of this stuff. People need to stop ordering bottled water.
Yeah, there's plenty of bottled water. The battle now that I've heard, beyond bottled water, here's a page from your Patreon for the legend of Jamie Roberts.
Yes, that is the latest page. So this page was made available for patrons 2 days early, and then it became public 2 days after I posted it.
Okay, so that's what you offer then, is that your patrons get the early access, and then after that it's opened up for free viewing. That's a pretty interesting way to get the word out. Yeah.
Well, and also the way that I have the update structured is that patrons on Patreon get to see the webcomic update the day before it goes up on thelegendofjamieroberts.com.
Gotcha.
And then it's on jamieroberts.com. The day after that, the Patreon post becomes public.
Very cool. I like the foof here.
Yes. Anytime I think of horses, I imagine them like tossing their head back and forth to try to like itch their mane, and they can't do it because they don't have hands.
Yes, no, I haven't thought of that before. So there's foof at some year over the years. I always look forward to seeing them. Here's a couple. Fwiff. I like that too. Let's check another page out here.
I like my sound effect.
Here's page 59.
Yes. This one was fun because of the reactions of Jamie, Thomas, and Daniel being like, "A what? Huh? What?" That was a lot of fun to draw.
I like how you did that, where you broke up the panels. It does give you that sort of like what. But this is
Story beats.
this is cool here with your background, with those the
Yeah.
little design you have with the and then how did you do that gradient right there to make it look like the light source is coming from above and then there's shadows underneath? What sort of effect do you use for that?
It's a gradient effect. So I mean, I can bring it up on my Clip Studio Paint to show it off if you like.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to. We can show your your screen there.
Yeah, you would need to click on my screen.
Got it.
So that was page 59.
I'm going to post a comment here though while you're getting that ready.
Yeah, do it.
Being alone right now just sucks. I was heading to my mom's estate to finish it up, but lost traction. Oh, I am sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you are okay physically. Wow. Very sorry to hear that.
I know. I saw that comment and I was like, oh, that sucks, but I'm glad to hear that you're safe.
Very sorry to hear that. You know, this is a tough time, and hopefully we can get through it soon.
So, not to abruptly change the conversation back, but yes, my heart goes out to you. I hope this live stream serves as a good, like, I hate to say distraction, but I hope that it serves to be like a form of entertainment during this hard time. But this is how I make the page. I have everything separated in layers. I even have the swirls in the background separated as its own layer. So I can like turn that off and it's just that. The colors are their own layer and then the shading is its own layer. But when I did the gradient background, I just used the wand tool. You just hit the W and then you like select the background. It's easier to do this with the color layer off. So you just select the background that you want to get colored and then you use the gradient tool, select the colors that you want. And then you can, just to show this off here, show off how it works. Like that.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
It's so handy and I love it.
I like that just as is. I mean, the finished piece is really cool, but even just that one little dew tone.
Yeah.
One of my friends, Mario Boone, he's an artist. He lives in Belgium, and we were working on a project a long time ago where we had just dew tones in there, not full color, but just like having accents of like one color that made things pop. So, yeah. But even that black and white is cool. I mean, this piece by itself, the different variations you can do with it.
So many. I had thought about possibly keeping the Legend of Jamie Roberts with this like two-tone kind of a color and posting it on Webtoon as this version.
Okay.
I had considered that because there's a lot of people who I meet at conventions who are like, are you on Webtoon? Are you on Webtoon? And I have to be like, no, I'm not on there yet. I'm not sure that I want to be on there, but if I did get on there, it would be to it would be to repost the Legend of Jamie Roberts in a different format. The not color version, that way the not color version can drive readers to my website where they can then see the full color version of it.
Now, just for people who might not know, what exactly is Webtoons?
Webtoon, also known as Line Webtoon, is an app that you can use to read comics. It also has a web browser version, but the primary way that people read comics on Webtoon is on the phone. So you bring it up as like an app and you just scroll down reading it. Interesting to see how things work. And the Patreon gets things first model is how I've seen a lot of folks do it lately. Webtoon even makes you download an app to see the latest 3. Yeah, That's something I've seen webtoon artists do too. I've also seen that webtoon has an integration with Patreon, so that you can post a comic on webtoon and be like, do you like what you read? Support me on Patreon. So that exists, and that was another reason I was considering posting on webtoon. But if, like I said, if I do it, it's going to be a version of my comics that would be like not as detailed, so that the more detailed version can be on the website, and the webtoon can drive traffic to the website.
That sounds like a smart play idea. I'm going to have to look into webtoon a little bit more for that. But the whole key though is to drive people to your own site, you know, and have them work together. Like it, you know, it just sort of crisscrosses over. I think that's one of the main things that we're having issues with now is like, as all these websites, these apps evolve and change and stuff. I mean, we're posting things on Instagram, we're posting things on Facebook. Where do you want them to, you know, eventually end up? And that's like with you on your YouTube channel or your Patreon. And that way you can give your readers like rewards directly for them being supportive of you and keep them invested and interested. Because there's so much stuff out there to compete with right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing that I try to drive, at least for me, is that part of the reason I want to keep driving traffic to my own website is because not all of my readers are on Facebook. Not all of my readers are on Instagram. And the website is really like the neutral place where people from all those disparate social media platforms can get together and read one thing in one spot.
That's cool. We got one more comment here.
The best thing about the early release system for Patreon is that it forces you to keep ahead in your work schedule. Yes, it really forces artists and other creatives to like build up a buffer, which comes in really handy whenever something happens. I remember when we first started working on validation, we had built up, I think, like 3 months worth of buffer. And then about like, I don't know, 6 weeks into the comic being posted online, I broke my wrist.
I remember.
I definitely remember that because it was a stupid thing that I did that made me break my wrist.
What happened to make you break your wrist? Can you share?
Yeah, so I had just come into possession of some rollerblades, and
I remember.
I wanted to give them a test run, and there's a slight slope next to my house, and I thought that it was like shallow enough that it wouldn't build me up to a dangerous speed, but I was wrong. And I ended up speeding down, and I tried to stop myself by reaching out to the stop sign, and it did not work. And I ended up rolling onto the pavement, and I smashed my hand this way, like down. And the fracture hit thankfully, compared to other wrist injuries, I really lucked out with this one. I only fractured the distal radius, which is the biggest bone in your wrist. None of the other smaller hand bones got broken.
Oh, that's good. How long was the recovery time?
Yeah, so I really lucked out there.
And that just shows that having a buffer is super important because, you know, while you're recovering, we were able to keep the work posting. And then that was a pretty critical time for us too, because we had just launched, we were just getting the word out there about the comic. And if we had, you know, lost the momentum we have, we might not have like gotten as far as we've gotten. So, you know what I mean?
Yep. It's important to have buffer, kids.
Speaking of that, we do have a buffer for this new season of validation.
Yes.
It's gonna run for a while. And oh, by the way, I forgot that I've got a backup webcam here. So while I'm waiting for my computer to charge, I can use the
backup webcam. Also, I just saw Cross-Eyed Music's comment. That stop sign was lying, sad face. Yes, it was. Yes, that stop sign was lying. It's a big liar, McLiar face.
Oh
I
wow.
ended up okay though. The worst that it ever gets is that sometimes if I like bend it like this, it pops. But like otherwise, my wrist is like perfectly normal. Sometimes, if the weather gets super duper cold or a storm is coming in, my wrist will be like, I'm not going to bend today. And I'll be like, well, then I'm just going to draw.
Oh wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's another reason for you to get out west to the desert again, because it's probably going to be better for your wrist, right? Wouldn't it be?
Yes, and it'll be better for my butt too, because I broke my tailbone back in 8th grade and I can't sit down for long periods of time without my spine being like, nope.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like of all of the injuries
Uh,
that I could get as a professional artist, I have the two that work against me.
Oh no.
Broke my ass and my drawing wrist.
But
I make it work, god damn it.
still we continue forward.
Still we continue forward. Speaking of, I'm gonna bring up a commission that I've been working on for backers who supported The Legend of Jamie Roberts, Chapter 2, whilst we talk, because I can talk and draw at the same time. That's one of those skills that I accrued when I did caricatures at Cedar Point.
Oh, that's interesting. I remember when you were still doing that. Yeah, so that's like something that you just sort of like, were you able to do that before, or did you learn that as you were working there?
I learned that as I worked there, because caricatures was not a skill that I had, and they had to show me the ropes. They taught me through a combination of pamphlets, handouts, and on-site experience. But when it comes to drawing caricatures at amusement parks, you really don't hit your stride until the second summer that you work there, was what I was told. But at the end of my first summer there, I remember my instructors being like, you're one of the students who has caught on the fastest. And true to form, I was one of the few artists who, it was my first summer there, and I was one of the first, like, not one of the first, but like I was like one of the few, if not the only first year caricature artist to make more than minimum wage while I was working at the park that year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because usually the pay structure is you get paid minimum wage plus commission. And your first summer there, you're realistically only going to get paid minimum wage, because your first summer drawing caricatures, you're not expected to make commission.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, but I was one of the few that actually like made commission partway through the summer.
You're the second artist I've worked with that worked on commissions at a park like that. Christian Measy, who did the book Contra Pussy with me, worked on caricatures for quite a while up in oh gosh, I forget, was it Six Flags, California he worked at?
I worked at Cedar Point, but there's another amusement park in Ohio called Kings Island.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Yeah. The company that I work for actually has locations in multiple parks, and they have a location at Kings Island as well as Cedar Point.
And what are you drawing?
The first summer that I worked, I am drawing a miniature schnauzer.
Cute.
Yes, one of my patrons and Kickstarter backers, because she's both, asked me to draw this for her.
Very cool.
Yeah. Which, that's one of my favorite things to do for people who support me on Patreon as well as Kickstarter, is I offer little extra things to Patreon patrons who also back my Kickstarters. And what the little thing is differs from Kickstarter project to Kickstarter project, but it's a little extra incentive I like to add in there.
It's just cool just watching you outline, do some.
Yeah, because I already did the pencil layer. Yeah, I already did the pencil layer for this little guy.
So do you if you draw in Strathmore paper, do you take a picture of that? Do you scan it in? What's your process there?
I scan it in, and actually I'm going to need to get a new scanner printer machine because my current machine, Beefy McMuscleton, is glitching out really bad. Like it keeps giving me error messages that he can't detect the print head, which I had my mom's tech support boyfriend research that for me because I had no idea what that meant. And a lot of the results that I was turning up were not great. And he did the research and he was like, so here's how you can fix it, but odds are really high you just need to get a new printer, which is unfortunate. So a good chunk of my tax return is more than likely going to go towards just getting a new scanner printer machine.
It does stink when your equipment breaks down on you. I remember when my computer, like the hard drive, just fried and I lost everything on it. So it took me a couple years to get a new one. I was actually posting validation from my iPad for 2 years. So going to WordPress and download it and update the validation site. I was writing all my scripts on the iPad too.
So, but script writing on the iPad though makes sense because when I had a tablet, I wrote a good chunk of scripts on my tablet when I had it. So yeah, in a way that makes sense. But like, kudos to you for being able to update validation and do validation stuff with no computer and using only your iPad.
Oh, it was you just and I was able to get a new computer. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. It was like, oh, it's like, but you know what? You work with what you got. You know what I mean? And the art doesn't stop just because of what you have. I mean, you can go to somebody's house and they might have the most amazing equipment in the world, but what are they doing with it? You know what I mean? That's
exactly. It's like I hate to say it, but I have a ukulele in my bedroom that I have not touched in ages. So like that's $40 spent that I'm not using at the moment.
I think one of these days that ukulele is going to get played and played a lot.
I think so too. Actually, a funny story. A friend of mine asked me to sing vocals for a punk track that he's recording.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is awesome. Which that's another way that creatives can like survive the whole comics going through the great pause and Patreon being a little wobbly for some creators is diversify how you make your money. Definitely.
So some ways I do that is I write a lot of prose, and I've actually ghostwritten quite a few books that people wouldn't realize that I actually wrote. So because they pay you to write these books, and then they sort of pay you to go away. It's like, oh, thank you for writing this, but you can't ever talk about what you wrote. It's very strange, but I do that. I do some consulting for some companies too, and I think a lot of these professional comic book creators that are working for the mainstream companies are hitting a wall right now. But they're going to have to learn to adapt like we have and be able to make money doing a bunch of different things. And if you're able to do that, then it all like compounds into some sort of living, hopefully, right?
Oh yeah, which is part of the reason I'm grateful that I got the experience that I got drawing caricatures at Cedar Point, because having that skill in your back pocket is so incredibly handy. It has easily made me at points enough money to be able to pay for groceries for like a month anytime that I've had to use it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So again, very handy skill to have.
So Jessica says here, and the new iPads are even more powerful and computer-like. I'm still happy with my old MacBook Air.
Very nice.
Yeah, I've actually got a new iPad. So I've been able to do a little bit of work with that, and you can actually draw on the iPad finally, like you could on like a Wacom tablet or something. So.
Yep, which would explain why, because Clip Studio Paint had a sale recently, and on the page where they were talking about the sale, they mentioned that they had a Clip Studio Paint version that you can download to draw on the iPad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there is a version of Clip Studio Paint that you can use on your iPad.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Not that I have your ability. I always, my cheesy phrase that when I used to go to conventions, people, when speaking of conventions and bringing it back to validation, we're back with the storyline, and they're in the middle of LodoCon and the convention's going on. But I used to do 20 a year, and people would come up and you're a writer, but everybody wants to talk to the artist. You know what I mean? So I would just say, hey, look, I want to draw badly, and I do draw badly. So.
Oh yeah, that's a common euphemism for writers to use.
Now, who do we have here for people that are tuning in?
So this is a commission that I'm making for another person who backed my Kickstarter campaign. This is actually a character from another comic, because the person who commissioned me gave me artistic license. She said, I trust your judgment, draw whatever you like. And I actually live streamed a couple weeks ago when I was penciling this, and I was talking through it, and I came to the conclusion that I would draw a Mokta version of a demon character that I had created named Acrodon. And Mokta are the shadow creatures that exist in the world of the legend of Jamie Roberts. And I thought that I would do something different and make a Shadow Mokta version of the demon Acrodon.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Make it a little different. And I sent her over the pencil version before I started adding the inks. And she was like, I dig it. Because whenever people commission me, I try to send them the pencil versions first to be like, hey, how does this look? Do you want me to change anything before I start doing anything else?
Well, speaking of collaboration remotely, which is another one of our themes, you see I'm bringing it back. So
yeah, so, like a professional.
That's what I'll write the script up, and I definitely have a very set format for how I write the validation scripts, and sometimes they're detailed, but a lot of times they're a little bit more loose because I trust Kelci, implicitly with the work that they do, and I send over the script. Kelci gets it, and then they send over to me a penciled layout, and from there we can adjust it. Usually I'm like, that looks amazing, go for it. There's only been a few times where I've said, oh, you know what, maybe we should change this or that, but for the most part, Kelci just gets it on the first try. I'm sure that there's some work obviously there's work that goes into it, but to me it's like arrives like, oh, there it is, and that's one of the cool things about being a writer is like you send the script and then it comes back and you're like, oh wow, like the stuff in my head is now on paper or on the screen or whatever. It's a really cool feeling. So Kelci then will send over the penciled layout, and then from there the colored version will arrive. And Kelci also letters the strip, does an amazing job with that, adds the sound effects in. So
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And that's what you see is that's pretty much our process. I know there's been some times where I've sent over some photo reference if it's something in particular, particularly if it has anything to do with like travel or things like that. Or I think we also had some photo reference for the coffee shop, which, by the way, that this is an interesting thing. I'm not sure if readers have The coffee shop always changes. It's never the same.
Always. Always. That was something that I wanted to see in the comic as a callback to one of my favorite cartoons that I watched when I was growing up called The Weekenders. The Weekenders had this running gag where the pizza shop that the gang would go to changed its theme every episode. And I was like, I want this gag to continue in some way. And I asked Chris if it was okay to bring that gag into the coffee shop and have the layout and the color scheme change every time that the cast and crew came there.
It's pretty awesome. So yeah, coffee time.
Coffee time.
Coffee time is one of my favorite places. So
yeah, and also the location of it and the outside layout of it and the windows are based on a coffee shop here in the town that I'm residing in at the moment.
Oh, that's cool.
Or it was a coffee shop and then they moved out and now it's occupied by a pizza place. We have too many freaking pizza places around here.
Pizza, like, why is that? It's just because people...
I honestly think that pizza places are one of the easiest startups to start. Because this is something that was talked about when I was at university. I went to school at Bowling Green State University, and I took a track for my minor that took me into a lot of business classes. And one of those classes was Intro to Entrepreneurship. And one of the first things that the instructor, he was not a professor, he was an instructor. One of the first things that he told us was, here are some businesses to not start up when you're a college student. And one of them was pizza place.
To not start up.
Because do not start up because everyone starts one up. They are so ubiquitous. Like, they're one of the easiest ones to jumpstart because pizza, as it turns out, is one of the easiest things that you can make at home.
Pizza. Now I want pizza.
Oh, I'm going to be making a pizza probably tomorrow, but I might make it today because I have been super duper aggressive with paying off my student loans because I finally found a budget that worked for me.
Oh, good.
So I love to brag about this. It's all a numbers game, but I love to brag about this. I started January of 2019 with $22,000 in student loan debt. I have now whittled it down to slightly under $14,500.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I've been making progress, and I want to celebrate that by making a pizza.
What toppings are going on this pizza?
Let's see. Mozzarella cheese, pepperoni. I might put some green onion on there because the green onions that I have really need to get used.
That sounds good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I also have like a crap ton of garlic powder, onion powder, basil, parsley, and I'm trying to think of what else is typically in Italian seasoning. Because like I have all of the herbs to make my own Italian seasoning, and then I just forget what all the ingredients are.
Yep. I definitely like basil on top of pizza. Basil just adds something to it. Fresh basil is amazing.
Yeah, basil is one of those herbs that shows that God does love us.
Definitely.
Just like garlic.
You know, that is something about herbs, spices, vegetation and everything. Just what it makes you feel when you are around it, the look of it, you know, flowers, but just fresh basil on something, just sprinkling it on there, like just adds flavor. You know, it makes you feel good. I'm going to say something about onions because you brought up onions. For some reason, I can't really, but if they're cooked, I don't know if other people feel that way too. It's very strange.
Funny story. One of my comic buddies, Dave, he and I often table together at Pittsburgh area shows because he's a Pittsburgh-based calligrapher, actually. But he is allergic to onions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anytime that we go to like a Japanese restaurant, because he really likes Japanese food, he has to ask, like, does this order have onions in it? And is there a way to make it without onions? So it's always an interesting experience whenever he and I go out the night of convention season at a typical convention, because like we're keeping in mind that dietary restriction, and I'm lactose intolerant. So most places I can find a most places I can find a lactose-free option, but there are just some places that's not there.
I think they're getting better about that, though. About the options for, particularly, yeah. I think the world is improving in that regard.
I'd like to think so, because I know when my cousin Monica was growing up, the world was just sucked for her because she was allergic to so many things. She had so many dietary restrictions. Like, I'm pretty sure, knowing the symptoms that she displays, I think she might have celiac disease, actually, which doesn't surprise me because celiac disease and other irritable gut issues run in my family on both sides. Because my grandmother was also lactose intolerant.
Wow, it's genetic.
It's a family trait.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Pretty sure that it's a celiac disease that she's contending with, because she couldn't eat cucumbers or a lot of things with seeds in them. And I know people with celiac disease can't eat anything with seeds in them because it sticks to their guts.
Sometimes they just lactose that option.
Oh, milking that pun for all it's worth.
That's amazing. Well, I'm having fun just watching you ink right here.
Watching me as I ink the loincloth.
Yeah, where's the music? I need to have like the little like sound bank here.
Drawing them their thick size.
But I will say, like,
I've been doing. Yeah. I was gonna say that I've been doing a lot of character design work for a startup that I'm working with, Never Ending Ink, or on Twitter they're at Be Never Ending. I've been doing a lot of character design work, and we had a meeting this morning, and one of the developers was like, "So one thing that I'm having to contend with is the fact that all of the figures are naked right now." And I'm like, well, they have underpants. I've been drawing them as like basic figure, like with underpants, but yeah, I've been drawing so many iterations of I've just been drawing so many iterations of different poses, but all of the figures are like in their underwear, because the armors and stuff are going to be separate layers and done by different artists.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're drawing like a piece of it, and then it gets passed on to someone else? Is that what's going on, or?
That's the objective. We're actually reaching out to a few other artists right now to join the team, because by the way, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this to you outside of the stream, but I've been hired on as the creative director for Never Ending.
Is there a website for them?
Yes, beneverending.com.
beneverending.com.
Yep. And working with you and with them, and working on Jamie Roberts, has been what has been helping me carry through this rough time right now.
On out it, but I have not gone over and looked at what's happening. So this will definitely propel me forward to do so.
Heck yeah. Also, they're doing a giveaway on Twitter. The first, I'm trying to remember how many followers it is exactly. I believe 300. The first 300 followers on Twitter will be entered into a giveaway to get a free dice set and a free crochet dice bag shaped in the form of a potion bottle.
Oh, Be Never Ending already follows me. I'm going to have to follow back. There we go.
Yeah. Well, they know that I work with you sometimes. So
I just followed them back. Oh, I see some of your artwork.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. And they posted about our yeah, that's nice of them.
Yeah.
Of you.
They like to give us shout outs because I work with them.
Oh, cool. I see some of your artwork here. Nice.
Yeah. Feel free to bring it up on the screen as like a screen share.
Yeah, just a sec here. Let me get it.
Yeah, and I can go into a little bit more depth about each of the characters too, because there's one or two that I can go in depth about that have been posted on Neverending.
One sec here.
Yeah. I'll save the progress on that. I mentioned this in a live stream before, but I'll go ahead and mention it again because I'm looking at the screen right now. I deliberately draw my male figures without six-pack abs, and I just draw the little like line down the middle, kind of like this. Because speaking as somebody who has done weightlifting and as somebody who likes drawing male figures, those six-pack abs that you see in the advertisements are only possible when you flex. You have to flex to show those off. They're not a natural, like, they're not there all the time just naturally.
I know people are obsessed with these six-packs. Yeah.
I had an ex who was obsessed with getting six-packs, and he was so frustrated that he never got them no matter how many crunches he did. And now that I know the truth, I want to, like, there's a part of me that kind of wants to reach out to him to be like, no, you don't have to do that. But he's an ex for a reason.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, there's their tweet about the dice giveaway that they're doing.
Hold on. Let me get up here. This one?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which those are adorable. And if I were a follower and not associated with Neverending at all, and if I were still on Twitter, I would totally retweet to get one of those.
I'm gonna retweet them. I'm gonna do it.
Heck yeah. But yeah, they're doing a dice and dice bag giveaway for the first like 300 people who follow them on Twitter. But they give away the prize once they've reached that 300 mark.
Dice. Your pick.
Oh my gosh, there are so many. Yeah, it's a really good pick. But also, like, I have fallen down the rabbit hole of the D&D fandom so badly. Like, it is amazing how ridiculous some dice sets can get.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I've seen dice sets made out of like gemstones. So like there's amethyst dice, there's obsidian dice, there's hematite dice, like it's bonkers. But I've also seen dice sets in the shape of like weapons. So like there will be like a D6 in the shape of a club or things like that.
What do we have here?
That is a Kinku. She's actually based on a commission that I had drawn for a friend of mine. She asked me to draw her D&D characters because she wanted to get them tattooed. So this is a variant on the character design that I did for her for that commission, and I tweaked it for Neverending. Everyone has six packs. They're just hidden a little deep. This is true because I also have six-pack abs because I've been doing home workouts for the better part of a year now, and like they're not a naturally resting thing. It's just a thing that you do when you flex.
We need to get hold on. We need to get the word out to people about six packs so they don't feel like, you know, they're not reaching their goals by not having it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely think it's good to be healthy and to do things to increase your energy level, but having like such a unrealistic goal is probably drives people a little batty.
Yes. I have definitely seen dudes fall down the rabbit hole trying to attain that standard, and like it's so unfortunate to see it too. But that's why I draw my male figures the way that I do, is to help kind of redefine what a muscular male would look like. So this figure up on the screen right now, oh, I just saw a new comment. Plus, you can get as many six packs as you want at the store. This is true. In conjunction with those t-shirts that are like, I'm in shape, round is a shape. Why have a six pack when you can have a keg like me? Oh, Ben does this comic called Cost Pain, which is all about cosplayers at Comic Cons. And he was talking about how he can finally have a cosplay that he can do, which is the version of Thor from Endgame that's like the Big Lebowski version of Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Someone got driven so batty that they won the World Series.
Hopefully we'll have a World Series this year. Baseball was supposed to start a couple days ago. I'm kind of a big baseball fan, so it makes me sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm one of those comic book people who is also into sports, so I'm like this really strange like chimera.
Not that strange. There's an intersection in the D&D world too for traditionally jockey people who are into sports to be interested in D&D as well. Like,
oh, that's cool.
The podcast, yeah, the video series / podcast that I listen to, Critical Role. One of the players is Travis Willingham, and he's this like 6'4" or 6'3" buff dude he's also a voice actor, but he's this like big buff dude who plays Dungeons and Dragons. But anytime that people make jokes on the show about the Dallas Cowboys, it's usually at his expense because he's a big Cowboys fan.
Oh, and they haven't won since the 90s.
I know. So this on the screen is my half-orc druid character, Ollie. I'm actually playing her in a D&D campaign, but I drew her up and finished her for Neverending for their social media platforms.
And I'll show one more here.
This is a tiefling fighter. I was definitely inspired by Molly Mock, one of the characters from the Mighty Nine, the current campaign of Critical Role. Jox Machina! Yes. Jox Machina is a one-shot D&D campaign with like a bunch of big burly buff dudes playing D&D. It's great.
Kind of like that.
I know, right? One of them was Travis Willingham, but there's one dude who's like, I think he's like 7 foot tall and like 400 pounds or something. He's just a tank. And he was like picking up these like the pyramid dice, the D4s, and he was beginning to roll them. And one of the other dudes was like, "Oh my god, those look so tiny in your hands!" And he's like, "Ooh, like I haven't heard that before." I also know a number of nerds who are into pro wrestling. Dude, you cannot go to a convention in the DC area without coming across comic nerds who are also into professional wrestling. Like,
this is true.
Oh, there's so many. Like, anytime that I go there with my buddy Carlos, Carlos P, because I know so many Carloses in my life. Whenever I go to a convention in the DC area, including Maryland, with Carlos, and he's my table buddy at a given show, like 90% of the time, he's going to be drawing people over just talking to them about wrestling.
I can attest to that, having lived in the DC area for many years, way back in the day. Yeah, the pro wrestling fans there, they're legion. They're legion, all of them. There's so many.
They are legion. So maybe you can provide some insight into this. Why are there so many pro wrestling fans in the DC area?
You know, I think it's because growing up with it on television all the time, there's also quite a few arenas in that area that show up and do like a lot of the live broadcasts, you know, like Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
Plus there's a really large circuit of semi-pro wrestling that goes on. I know my brothers, Adam and Nick, were involved in a semi-pro wrestling league that used to do performances at these big bars in Charlottesville. And I also think it has to do with the density of colleges in the area too. There's so many colleges in the DC and like the Virginia area. So, and you're able to get to places, you know, unlike in the West where, like, if you want to get from Albuquerque to Phoenix, that's going to be
an all-day drive.
But if you want to get from Baltimore to DC, you want to go to Philadelphia for the day from the DC area, it's only a few hours. So I think that's DC area is kind of like this nexus point of wrestling fandom. So
it's also a nexus point for the punk fandom too, because like there's a lot of like punk musicians and zinesters in the DC area, and who also congregate in the DC area when Indie Fest times come around.
Yeah, having grown up in that area, you know, obviously bands like Fugazi, who used to go there and see them, it was like $5 to go see them. That sort of scene was the DIY scene, do it yourself.
Yeah,
massive with the zines and the bands and all that. That too kind of relates to the fact, like growing up, we had this station called W. It was 9:30, I think, was there. I forget the call handle on FM radio, but we had that. Then we had the 9:30 club. Then we had like a bunch of other clubs like Tracks where bands would play. So growing up, we had like all these different places that you can go to, and a lot of them did like all ages shows, so they were able to get their fans, you know, do like a show before earlier in the night, and then they do a second show after. So all this stuff was happening there. Plus, I think that there's just a general sense of angst in the area because these kids growing up, and then there's like the government is like so massive in that area. There's like this power stuff happening, and the kids, they want to rebel against that. So once again, it's just like that churning pot of that.
Yeah. So you grew up in an area where do-it-yourself was not only celebrated, but also somewhat normal and expected.
And necessary. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Necessary.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. And it's that kind of like DIY-ness that is circling it back to the topic of conversation of this live stream. It's what's going to get us through.
Exactly. And I think you and I, having been, you know, built for a moment like this in many ways, you know, and maybe through live streams like this and our Patreon post and just, you know, being helpful for people. we can help out a little bit.
Heck yeah.
I just feel really bad for the comic book stores. I know you used to work at a comic book store. What are your thoughts about them closing with Diamond for a while?
It's going to depend from comic store to comic store as to how they're going to recover once comic shops open back up again. I think the comic shop that I worked for will be okay because they didn't deal in just comics. They also dealt with Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons. They also had non-mainstream comics. So while the draw was comics, there were other things that the store could work with. And in fact, having looked at the numbers behind the scenes, because I was privy to a lot of sales information when I worked there, for the particular comic shop that I worked at, comic books only accounted for anywhere between 35 and 45% of all sales. So I think the comic shop that I worked for will be poised enough that they can weather this storm. I don't know about other comic shops though, because I know that there are other comic shops that drive themselves as like the place to go to get the newest mainstream comics, and that's all that they deal with. Like they don't do Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons or anything else.
Funko, I know Funko Pops are pretty massive.
Oh my God. Like that's a good chunk of the sales for the comic shop that I worked at was just Funko Pops. Funko Pops and Magic the Gathering cards. Oh, Ben has a comment. I'm thinking about doing some comic shop tabling appearances once this is all over. See if I can help them draw a crowd. That's the other thing that the comic shop that I worked at did that worked in its favor is that they were really accepting and eager to showcase indie comic artists at their store at special events. And they would have
cool.
special events like they would have they would have like free graphic novel day. And basically all that was they had like overstock of trade paperbacks and graphic novels, and they would put them on the table and mark them as free for one day. So
that's a
real
rad
handy
idea.
way to clear. It's a great idea, and I'm amazed that more comic shops don't do this because it's a great like sales tactic. Because the way that they have it set up is you come in, you get one book in gratis, or you get one book for free. If you want to get a second graphic novel off the table, you need to buy something from the store. It can be a little thing, it can be a big thing, but you got to buy something from the store. I can draw a crowd of stick figures.
Where's my sound bank? Bump bump bump.
Yeah. People joke about, how they can only draw stick figures. At the same time, though, there is a comic strip out there called The Amazing Cynical Man that is stick figures.
Oh, there's also X. Oh, I forget the name of it. It's really
XTC.
got a huge audience. Yeah, they got a huge audience. And
yeah.
What's the other one you're talking about?
The Amazing Cynical Man. He's really popular at Indie Comics Fest circles.
Oh, cool.
Because he is stick figures. And I see him like everywhere. But yeah, The Amazing Cynical Man. It's a stick figure family, and there's like stick figure Mickey Mouse, stick figure comic book heroes, all kinds of stuff.
I'm going to try to find him on the internet here. The Amazing Cynical Man.
The Amazing Cynical Man.
Book by Matt Feasel. Oh, okay. I'm going to bring it up online here, and then we'll come back to see what we got.
Do what you
that's cool.
Oh, this Yes, the Amazing Cynical Man. That's it right there.
Looks like there's a something about what's going on. That's funny.
I haven't actually read any of his stuff. I just know that he exists because, like I've mentioned before, he's everywhere at indie comic fests, especially in the Columbus, Ohio area.
Oh, okay. Looks like there's a movie, The Amazing Cynical Man movie.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Starring, oh, there's a theatrical trailer. Let's try this and see if this works. Let's see if like this comes through.
This will be an experience for the both of us because I have not seen this. I didn't even know that there was a movie based on this.
All right, let's check it out. Oh, it's not happening. Hold on.
Poop.
Give me 1 second here. I messed up. It took me to another screen. So let me stop the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
This live stream brought to you by StreamYard.
I think I might actually pay the $20 to unlock all the features as time goes on. I really like their interface, is StreamYard.
Yeah, I've been live streaming with them for the better part of like 2-3 months now, and I really like working with them.
Oh, I pressed the wrong one. Hold on. Oops. Yeah, I just had to make a little extra money to be able to justify spending $20. But I think if you're doing live streaming like at least twice a week, it might be worth it to unlock all the other features.
Might be, yeah.
I don't know yet. Okay, here we go. I think I got it.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. Let's see if it comes up with the. Here we go. Can you hear that?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Try this again. So the volume's not coming through with that?
Mm-mm.
Wonder what I do there.
This might be one of those things where, and this is one of those things where I haven't worked with StreamYard long enough to be able to troubleshoot what exactly we need to do here. It might be one of those things, though, where we need to mute our screens to let the sound of this screen through. I'm not sure, though.
I'm going to mute mine. So let's just try it. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
I'm muting. I'm going on mute.
Okay.
Did anything come through? No? Okay, well, that's something we're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I've been streaming using my own tech, and I'm tempted to switch to StreamYard because of your streams.
Yeah, because I know, Ben, you've been working with OBX, which is open source, and I almost considered switching to them, if only because they have an integration with Ko-fi, Ko-fi, where if people donate to your Ko-fi, then when it's integrated with OBX can bring up a little notification on the screen as you are live streaming saying so-and-so just donated to Ko-fi.
Oh, that's cool. And I think too, with and you get up to like 1,000 subscribers and you get monetized, you can do what's called super chats, to where people can donate. Ooh. And then obviously there's so many comments coming through once you're at that level. Yeah. People that super chat, they get bumped up to the top, and then their comment gets read. So it's kind of like a donation to get your comment read.
Yeah, I can see that. I've seen that with Overly Sarcastic Productions. Actually did a couple of live streams last week to fundraise for Feed America, because Feed America has been working really hard to feed kids who, this just highlights a failing of the system right here. There are a lot of kids who only get meals through public schools. And with public schools being closed, a lot of those kids often go hungry. So Feeding America has been doing fundraisers to try to get food to these kids. And Overly Sarcastic Productions did a fundraiser last week to raise money for this charity. They ended up, I don't know how much they ended up raising exactly, but when I was watching the live stream last week, they had just crested over 20,000.
That's great.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot. Yeah, I know a lot of places too are keeping their cafeterias going, and people swing by and pick up, the packaged food to go. It's just sad that there's so much food in our country. It's bountiful, and one person going hungry to me just doesn't make sense with all this resources we have. So
yeah, not to make the stream too political or anything, but yeah, it is very frustrating to have to contend with it.
But that's good that they're raising money. That's awesome. Okay.
Yes, it is. But they also had it implemented in their stream where if people donated, then their donation was highlighted on the stream. I don't remember what streaming software that they use, though. It's cool, though. Yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there to that super chat level one of these days.
One of these days.
OBS Studio. Oh, go ahead.
We can read it in unison. Let's read it in unison.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. OBS Studio.
It's very good, but it's pretty advanced. You can do whatever you want if you can figure out how to implement it.
Oh my God.
I also saw Ben's following comment. Also, I just noticed your t-shirt, Kelci. Titan's Grave Season 2 needs to happen! Yes! So, okay, for those of you who do not know what we're talking about, Titan's Grave, The Ashes of Valkana, is a role-playing game series that got shown on YouTube. It was produced by Geek and Sundry. Will Wheaton was the game master. The players were, like, mostly voice actors, but also Hank Green was a player, which was one of the big draws for me and why I watched it, was because I was like, oh, Hank Green is on this. I know who that is. And then I got to know who the other players were. Laura Bailey was on the show. Yuri Lowenthal. Apparently he does voices in Naruto. I did not know this. Yay, latency. Talking about the live read that we did in unison just now. But Titan's Grave was this like RPG thing. It was not D&D. It was its own system based off of the same system that the Dragon Age board game was built off of. So it did involve dice rolling and there was role playing involved, but the way that everything was calculated was different. But one of the running gags in Titan's Grave was anytime that the party was asked to do anything, they would say, fine, 5 gold in a party. That's our payment. That's what we want as payment.
Speaking of Titans, I got this for Saturnalia, Christmas and all that. The Attack on Titan box set for the first 4 volumes.
Oh man.
What's your thoughts on Attack on Titan? I'm interested.
Okay.
Mixed feelings about it?
I don't watch the show.
Okay.
And there's a part of me that's like, I'm never going to watch the show, but part of it, I wonder if he has cousins, Hank Reed and Hank Yellow. Funny story, Hank Green did a song with, I'm trying to remember his name. His last name is Brown. But the entire reason that the song was even made, it's called Brother from a Mother with the Last Name of Another Color. And the entire story, the entire song is just talking about what similarities that they have. And they're like, oh my God, you're my brother from another mother with the last name of another color. Yes, those are the actors who are on Titan's Grave. Season 1. Season 2 has yet to be made, and it is so frustrating.
I'm gonna check it out. But so
Yes.
back to Attack on Titan, because I know it's super popular. And
Oh yeah.
but what are your thoughts on it? You haven't watched the show or read the manga, so.
I saw Team 4-Star did a very short-lived thing of Attack on Titan abridged, and it only lasted one episode, and then it got taken down because of a copyright claim. But that was about my only exposure to it, and I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I know what the gimmick is. I'm good.
Yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a gift because I did a call out to my friends. They're like, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas?" I said, "Well, just send me comics and I'll read them."
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the gifts I got.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I'm gonna check it out. But I think the manga that I want to get into more is One Piece. But that's
yes. Yeah. That, oh my God, that is huge. And I mean huge as in there are so many volumes in that thing. The pacing in the beginning is a little awkward when you break it down page by page, but otherwise it's good. My first exposure to Attack on Titan was the live action movie. It's not the best way to get exposed to Attack on Titan. No,
that doesn't sound good. Wasn't there like a live action Guyver movie with Mark Hamill? There's like the live action movies of these are usually not great.
They're usually not great. Also, this is a testament to how legendarily bad this was. There was a live action Dragon Ball movie, not Dragon Ball Evolution. That's an entirely separate beast. But there was a live action Dragon Ball movie made back in the 80s. It never made it outside of Japan because it was so bad.
Oh, wow. I never even heard of that.
Yeah, that's part of why you've never heard of it, because it never made it to the States.
So what do you think, Kelci? Sounded pretty good to.
Yeah, I'm thinking 5-10 minutes is good because we're approaching the 2-hour mark.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wow. So we achieved our mission of streaming from 1 to 3. So
Yes.
yeah. I'll have to I'm gonna get a link to your YouTube page here. Hold on.
Yes, because I do have a separate YouTube page.
What's the URL? It's
youtube.com/user/ it's not my name. It's Carmen Wiley D, but Carmen has capital C, Wiley has capital W, and D is capital D.
Carmen what?
Carmen Wiley D. Like Carmen Sandiego, Wiley D.
WILY?
Y. Mm-hmm. WILY.
There you are. I will post a link to your channel. The next live stream that we do together will be there.
Sweet. Oh, that was posted in the chat.
I'll post it on the banner. Hold on a sec here. But I think if since I'm running the stream today,
Mm-hmm.
I think that does actually show up as a link in the comments, but I'm going to post it up here too.
I think it does, yeah.
But here we go.
Yeah. I'm also seeing Cross-Eye Music's comment. One Piece is my fave, heart. I've seen all roughly 920 episodes and roughly 970 chapters. There is a group who's doing a recut of the anime to match the manga and cut down the view time needed. Grace bless their work. Oh, Jessica. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks to both of you for putting this on. Thank you for joining us, Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica. No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending time with us.
Yes, thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you to Cross-Eye Music. And then Ben, definitely Ben, post a link to your stuff here.
Yes, so that we can highlight your comment.
And then closing thoughts today. I'm excited that validation is back.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so excited.
I'm excited for readers to see some of the big payoffs that are coming up here soon. Stuff that's been brewing for 7 years.
Yes. Oh my God, it's been 7 years. Oh.
I know, 7 years, but that was it was a very fortuitous moment when we got together and started collaborating remotely 7 years ago.
Yes, to show that this is not a recent phenomenon. You can do this long term.
So it's been awesome, and like even though we're kind of wrapping up Allie's story for the moment with this particular season of validation, these characters will continue to move on, and I think a lot of other readers probably feel this way, is that we want to see more Roxy. Kelci,
Yes.
and put me on the spot. Are we going to see lots more Roxy?
That's the goal. That's the goal. We're going to be seeing a lot more Roxy.
I think.
The hope.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say the hope is that she gets her own Instagram account so that she makes her own posts, but also gets her comics out there on the Instagram world.
I think that's awesome. Hopefully we'll see that in the near future. Obviously. Oh, Scarlett, any closing thoughts? There we go.
Yep. Told you she would make it a third time.
Well, I'm going to, do you have anything else to say, Kelci, before we sign off here?
So the Legend of Jamie Roberts is still updating every Wednesday. You can check it out at thelegendofjamieroberts.com. More Roxy is incoming. Also, more Mike and Steve is coming, because I love Mike and Steve.
Yeah, Mike and Steve are actually sort of written almost as throwaway characters in the beginning, and Kelci, every once in a while we'll come up with some characters, and Kelci will pause for a moment and then come back and say, wait a second, let's flip this a little bit here and do something a little bit different.
Yep.
So that's what happened to Mike and Steve, and they ended up becoming who they are now, which are integral to the series and definitely can stand on their own for sure.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Their life story is going to be like, it's going to be so much fun to draw and so much fun to write. But yeah, it was funny because the original script, you had them written as like these throwaway guys. And I was like, let's change this up a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that we did.
Absolutely here. That's one of the joys of working with you, is that well, what would you call it? It's something that not everybody has, the ability to take something like that and go, wait a second, let's think about this in a different way. And that's the sign of a true artist. So thank you for having that, because you've made validation not only with your art like amazing, but those little things with the characters are what keep the readers coming back. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up with those little character moments. Yes. You can't probably hear it very well, but there are very subtle soft purrs happening right now.
Well, I'm going to sign off here. And thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you again, Kelci, for sharing time. Talk.
Oh, heck yeah.
Scott, thank you for signing off. And yeah, we'll see you on validation.com, and we'll see you on the other places we're at. And I'm going to sign off right now before I keep rambling. So thank you all.
Well, thank you all for watching. You are awesome.
Bye.
Bye.